Hi there and welcome. Steve Wills here. Thanks for joining me. This is now our fourth video in our ongoing tutorial regarding process automation. Here we'll be focusing on document routing. Some of the specific types I'll enumerate for you here on the screen. This is what we'll be looking at today. And all of these can be mixed and combined thanks to being based on a complete and consistent paradigm. So the first we'll look at today will be extended parallel operation. Here we are actually extending the scope of what is a normal parallel operation. Let's demonstrate for you here in this simulation. As you can see, we can actually advance a document along separate channels independently. So to see what that looks like, I'll actually have a graphic above to help follow along what's going on in the application below. I threw in an extra rule just for the heck of it. So the workflow document is only advanced to director when all of the channels have finished their course. As you can see here. So just taking a look at the history of the user interventions. So how do we make this happen? Going into, of course, the state documents, as always. State team validation. As you can see under parallel op, it is now extend as opposed to yes. And now looking here is where we can actually end a given channel. If nothing is put in that field, it means a continuation of the channel onto the next state. And here you also have the option to break out of an extended parallel operation. Extended sequential operation. This might more aptly be named a pass-through state, as the rules are executed immediately. So in our example, 2 out of the 3 users must approve the document for it to advance to director, otherwise it will be routed back for modification. So as you can see, we cannot base the routing of the document based on the decision of the last user to intervene. So the first user, production, E2 rejects both. Here green will reject the first and accept the second. And here yellow will accept both documents, yet one will be routed back to the author for modification and the other will be sent on to the director. So how to make this happen? Now we're using a pass-through state in the context of a parallel operation, of course. The two are independent. So going into state treatment, you can see the parallel operation and the options available to each group of users. Now importantly, when validate is selected, the field count is actually incremented. Then, of course, when the document is routed to the next state after the parallel operation, virtual 01, the document is routed immediately because it is a pass-through state, a virtual state, and it's routed based on the value of count. Now, child documents, of course, as the name implies, are created from parent documents, and each of these subsequently follows its own set of documents in the process. So I just want to show you here the option to not present the option to create document directly. As you can see, Doc 111B has been selected not to be presented to the end users for direct creation. As you can see, that's not displayed here. So creating Doc 111A, I'll set a title here. That will affect the child document. I'll show you in a minute. So user orange comes in, and we want the child document to be created when the manager selects approved. So you can see here, and the title of the child document was updated automatically. So let's try to archive the parent document first. As you can see, it prevents that from happening. Error message being presented. So, as manager arms, let's go ahead and archive the child document and then archive the parent document. And there you see the two documents in the archive. So how is this done? Going in, first I'll display the two sets of state documents, one for the parent, you can see here, and then for the child. At this level there is no distinction. So going into State Manager, here is where the rule is approved and the corresponding child document. There's the type. There is a routine that is executed. Of course, you can put several of these. That's where the title was set, where the state was blocked for the parent, and the error message to be displayed. So just taking a look at the back end, here is the very simple routine that was executed. You see the .child.parent. That is this routine is only invoked at the creation of a child document. Otherwise, it is always this standard routine that's executed with those Diez routines. Workflow Ascendant also has the option of simulating time-related events. So this is very useful when you're testing that functionality, which is based on anything related to time. So here that initializes the time simulation. So let's create a document. And now as the administrator, DB admin, let's go ahead and advance the time a couple of days. And what we'll do is we'll look at the intervention log afterwards to see the result. User orange intervenes. Again, back to the DB manager, let's add a day. Now finally for the director. And now let's take a look at the intervention log. As you can see, both the dates and days have been updated. This, of course, very useful information in evaluating processes as well as personnel. So one important functionality is the ability to send emails or to display alerts if workflow documents are not handled in a given amount of time. So again, as a reminder, we've set the time simulation here. Of course, you would keep that field empty in production. So now, sending it off in the workflow to Manager Orange, we'll now advance the time into the warning period. So in this case, it will be 3 days. And as you can see, the days have been updated and an alert has been posted in the view to draw attention to the fact that this document wasn't handled in the amount of time recommended. An email was sent, and as you can see, it was directed to the manager with a copy to director. Now, just to show you, when Orange does intervene in the document, the alert is removed. So how do we define this? Going into time trigger documents, so this is where we define all time-related events. Here we've set 3 days as being the limit to treat the document at this state. You can also define a series of state, not just simply one state. WA current authors are all those who are awaiting intervention. This is, of course, being the email that was sent, copy to the director. And actions, this is the field that was updated when the trigger was activated. So you can see the alert icon. And of course, the deactivation to erase it once the document went out of the alert period. Likewise, we can route documents based on time. So here we'll pick up from the previous example, resetting it to the previous date after 3 days. And now we'll advance it to the rerouting window, which is 5 days, I believe. So we'll see here that the document has been rerouted to red, the director. And the log has been updated to reflect that forced routing. And as you would expect, we send an email, this time to the director with a copy to the manager. Looking now at the definitions, again going into the time trigger documents, you can see here we can define multiple time triggers for each process. So here it's been set at 5 days at manager, and of course being directed to director. Notifications to be sent, copy to the remaining authors that did not intervene, and of course, document fields that are updated. So just a little reminder of what Notes Domino is and is all about. And of course, we want to maximize the use of all of this wonderful functionality. And of course, Workflow has always leveraged what Domino is all about. Well, that's it for this particular video. I hope you found it to be informative and helpful. I hope you'll join me next week as we go into some of the more advanced concepts in process automation. Thanks again for joining me.